I got that holy swag. Woo, woo, yeah. I got that holy swag. Yeah, look, I got that holy swag. Whoa, I got that. Hey, reach for greatness, then right up on them and seat the haters. We get recognition, be at the peak of your pinnacle. Never believe you can't get where you wanna be to beat them fakers. There's a blessing God gave you, face it. Life ain't gotta rewind, but a better word for what you want. Don't be complacent. Get on the grind, go and get it when you're given the time. It's all in the mind. You were your only enemy, and nobody stopping your shine.
Hey world, we're back with another episode of Swag on Point TV. I am so excited about this episode. Today we have Dr. Shandowlyon here, a knowledge expert, a consulting coach, an author, a mother in her own way, everything that exemplifies what Holy Swag stands for. I can't wait till you guys tune into this episode. We'll be back with more information with Dr. Shand. As promised, we have a special guest with you today, Dr. Shandowlyon. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am fantastic. I am so excited to be here with you today. So, as promised, guys, we're going to talk more about her infamous book, Moving Along the Trajectory Towards Continuous Improvement. Listen, for starters, this is such a great read, and I need you all to make sure that you follow the links after our interview to be sure to get this book. So first, talk to us about you. Who are you? Where do you come from?
Well, my name is Dr. Shandowlyon Hendricks Williams. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, to the union of now Bishop Harry L. Hendricks and Barbara Hendricks. I am the oldest of 3 children. I have 2 brothers. One of my brothers passed away. And then we moved to Decatur, Illinois, where I was raised, a very small town for which I was very happy to be living in with my grandmothers, my aunts, my cousins, extended family. When I was 14, the Board of Bishops moved my dad to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to pastor. And that was really a life-altering moment for me, being an adolescent, having just finished my freshman year, had gone to school with everyone, knew everyone in town, and I moved to this humongous, large, big city where I know absolutely no one. So I graduated from Custer High School, ended up getting married, went through a lot of things in my marriage, which I talk about in my book. I take the mask off in my book, and I tell everything. Went back to school after experiencing situational poverty, was on welfare, raising 2 children alone with no family in this city other than my brother. Earned my associate degree from Milwaukee Area Technical College, bachelor's degree from Springfield College, master's degree from Cardinal Stritch University, EDS from National Louis University, and my doctorate from National Louis University. I am an educator by heart. I believe that education is the great opportunist. It creates opportunities for you. It's not the equalizer. We deal with a lot of things in our society. So I think that's probably where my book fits in, because I'm still able to educate and reach a lot of people in a form other than limited classroom with so many students or so many university students as well.
And just why did you even write this book? Like, what is the purpose of this content that you decided to give to the world?
Well, I wrote this book to let people know that no matter what happens to you in life, your present circumstance does not dictate your future.
Y'all heard that? Your present circumstance does not dictate your future. Somebody needs to write that down. And I say that because so often, though, it's like you allow the life and the chaos. We talked in a previous episode about life being chaotic and frustrating, and when you like are embedded in that, it's kind of like you don't have a way out. So people need that, people need that. Yes, ma'am.
And in those moments, I remember as a young girl, there was a poem I read, and this man talked about footprints in the sand. And when life was going well, I saw 2 sets of footprints. And when life was going really rough, I only saw one set of footprints. God, why did you abandon me during that time? And the Lord said, those were my footprints. I was carrying you when you were going through things. And so it's at the times that we're at our lowest point, when we feel like there's nobody there to help us, that we really have an opportunity to develop that relationship with God and realize who is the person that's sustaining us. And then we have a responsibility that once we get out of our mess, to remember who sustained us and to give him the praise, and to magnify, and also to make sure that you allow other people to know how you got through.
Exactly.
So the purpose of my book is, one, to let you know you don't have to stay in that circumstance, but also two, to let people know, I know who helped me out of this. You know, it was nothing but God. There were times that I was at my lowest point, crying myself to sleep every night, feeling like there's just absolutely nothing and no one that can help me and assist me get through the things. But all the time there was God. And so in my daily walk today, when I wake up every morning, I say, Lord, order my steps. Because I know it was he who ordered my steps when I didn't have anything. And just because I may have a few more worldly possessions, I still need him to order my steps.
Absolutely, absolutely. And personally, I know you come from an amazing family. And when you were dealing with writing this book, or even those disempowering moments that you talked about in your first book, how did you keep your faith grounded during disempowering moments?
Well, my faith is really the foundation of who I am. I started going to church with my grandmother when I was about 2 or 3 years old. And my grandmother was a sharecropper. She never had the benefit of formal education. She didn't graduate from high school, she didn't go to college, etc. My grandmother always taught me that I need to study to show myself approved. And what I did was I extended that beyond the Bible, but the Bible was always the foundation for me. My grandmother taught me very critical characteristics that have formed me. But the one thing that I remember most is that we never sat down and ate without saying breakfast. She would walk around the house and she would sing to the Lord. She always talked about the Lord. She always read her Bible. She always invited people to her house, even though she herself was not well off. And so because I have that foundation, that is what has sustained me. And some people can't believe that, you know, you can believe when you're feeling down and out. I don't know how you cannot believe, right? And so that is really the one thing that has kept me going and keeps me going even right now, is my faith in God. Without him, I'm nothing. Without him, I can't do anything. And you know, I wouldn't even want to live without him if I had a choice.
So personally, I found this book to be an amazing read. It spoke to my life personally, things as a single woman, as, you know, I haven't even hit 30 just yet. So I'm still in a place of not allowing those disempowering beliefs to interrupt the empowering part of me. And so coming from someone that experienced dealing with those disempowering relationships, how did you still manage to provide empowerment to other people?
It just happened. Well, because every time I went through something, Ashley, and every time I got out of that mess, I praised God. And a lot of times when I meet ladies, I see me in them in different situations of my life. So I see the single mother that's struggling. I see the parent of a child with a disability who is hurt and grieving the fact that their child can't walk and talk and do things that other kids can do. I see the woman who has loved very deeply and given everything that she can to her husband to only be betrayed by him having an affair. I see the woman who was married yet again to a different man who was hooked on drugs and took everything out of the account and stole everything he can get his hands on. I see the woman that has been beat physically, has been torn down, has been told you will never be anything, has been told you were ugly, has been told you were dumb. I see the woman who wants to go back to school, but the whole time she was in school, she was told, you're not smart, you're not going to be anything. So when I see that in another woman, I begin ministering to that part of that woman because I know what that felt like. And by doing that, it helps me realize, wow, I came through this. I really came through this.
Yeah.
And because I came through it, it's nothing special about me other than I believe in God. If I came through it, you could come through it too. So I believe that my story is one that I don't have the right to keep silent. I don't have a right to keep that mask on. I don't have a right to present myself to the world as someone who is well put together, who is highly educated, who is professional, as if I've never been through anything. I have the responsibility, with my right to do certain things, I have the responsibility to teach and show other women, you can do the same thing that I can do. So that's how, I pull out, that's how I build capacity. When I was a principal, I don't care who worked with me, from the janitor to the security guard to the paraprofessional, I consistently tried to figure out how can I move that person from this point to the next point? How can I move them along the trajectory toward continuous improvement?
Absolutely, because your path, it's like the path that you on, it matters.
Yes.
It matters. And so often we get so caught up in everything that can discourage us, but we don't think about those things that, while it may have discouraged me, it didn't hold me back. Right. It didn't stop me. It didn't block me from my blessings because I know where my help comes from. And like you said, I know that my steps are ordered. And in your book, you talk a lot about your pride and your joy. Talk to me about your pride and your joy.
Absolutely. So my pride, and I hope I don't become emotional and start crying. If I do, okay. You have to excuse me.
That's okay.
So let me go back, and I shared part of this in my book. When I was probably about 18 or 19 years old, I had very severe pain in my abdomen area. And I went to the doctor and found out that I had a tumor on my ovary. And so they had to remove, they thought when they went in, they would just remove the tumor and leave everything there. The tumor was the size of a grapefruit. So they had to take an ovary and a fallopian tube. So that cut my chances of reproducing in half.
Yeah.
So I actually never thought I would have children. And as you remember about me in church, I love children. Yeah. Even as a teenager, I loved teaching.
She was my teacher.
I was her Sunday school teacher. I loved teaching kids. I went into education because I love children. And so I accepted the fact that, okay, I'm not going to have children, but I'm going to love everybody else's children. So when the doctor told me I was pregnant with Barbara, I was just ecstatic. And when Barbara was born, she was my pride, and she's still my pride. She's everything that I ever wanted to be and more. And so I loved being a mother. That's what I identified with more than anything else. I was fortunate that my first husband allowed me to be a stay-at-home mom and a housewife. So everything was about Barbara. When I got pregnant the second time, I thought, oh God, how favored am I, right? The Lord has allowed me to have another child, and that's Brandon. And Brandon is my joy. And Barbara's my pride because she achieved every developmental, goal ahead of time. She walked ahead of time. She talked ahead of time. She was reading at 3 years old. I mean, just a remarkably bright young lady. My book talks more about it. When Brandon was born, he was born and he was not breathing. He had the umbilical cord around his neck. So they had to bring Brandon back to life. And he has multiple severe disabilities. And there were a lot of challenges that we went through, but Brandon's my joy. Because they told me that he would only live to be 8. Brandon is 31 years old.
Oh my God.
If you can't get joy from that.
Listen, because abundant joy is knowing that something that may even make me sad, I won't be I can still gain joy from it. I don't know what other word to use. But when it comes down to like your abundant joy, it's such a blessing to know that no matter what that life looked like. And I know, not to spoil, but part 2 of your book, we'll talk more about going from welfare to wealth. Right. But being in that position and knowing that you have 2 people that are looking at you, your every move, if mama don't do it, we won't see it done. And so to know that you experienced just so much throughout that time, but look at you, still able to write a book and still able to just be all that God created you to be. That is, wow.
Well, thank you for those words, but I have to say, I stay very grounded. So a lot of people always say, you're doing this, you're doing this. No, it's not me. See, people don't get it. It's not me. When things are just happening and you're just doing, I don't think that, oh, Shandowlyon, you're doing this. No, it's not. This is God. This is 100% God. So when people want to go through my resume or they want to talk, no, I'm just a vessel. That's how you stay grounded, and that's how you're able to do things, because you know where your strength comes from. That inner strength of having God, that inner strength of knowing who you are, that inner strength of taking those disempowering beliefs and transferring them to empowering beliefs, of setting goals and having successes and enjoying things in life, that's all God. And so it's done with seamlessly effort. I don't have to try hard because it's not me. This is just my body that you see, but it's not me.
And we talked again, a previous episode that we did, being available to God. We talked about opening your heart to God, opening your mind to everything surrounding you in order for God to manifest in your life, and knowing that you are not defined by what you've been through. You are not defined by what society says about you. As long as you have God as your foundation, like you said, like you can't miss a beat. You can't miss a beat. And so just personally, probably, how challenging was it to write this content?
It was very challenging, because I had to take the mask off. And in my current position, I'm in the public view a lot. So there was that aspect of me like, do I really want this out there, particularly right now in my career? And then there was a part of me that said, but if it's not out there, who's gonna understand? Wow. I think the most challenging part was juggling what I do in my life. The group homes that we have, the coaching that I'm doing, working that I'm doing. There were times I cried when I wrote the book. And at first I would feel a certain kind of, ooh, this hurts, to go back and relive this, because when I'm writing, I'm reliving, right? And so I would type a sentence and then I would feel something that, I'm that little girl in elementary school, and the teachers just, said something to me that really, really hurt. And for a moment, I allowed myself to feel it, like I'm allowing myself to feel it right now. But then I said, oh, how great am I? She gave other kids empowering messages. She gave me disempowering messages, but I made it through anyway.
I made it through. What kind of advice would you give somebody that may want to start that business, they want to write that book, but they're so caught up in those disempowering beliefs to where they can't empower even themselves to move forward with knowing that they have a story to be told?
The first thing I'm going to tell them is say, you speak it into existence. By 2025, I am going to have my business established, and this is how much money I'm going to be making in profit. And these are the people that I'm going to help. These are the products that I'm going to sell, whatever. You set a goal, you put a date on it, and you speak it to existence. And you get out a planner, and every day you do something toward that goal. And every night you pray to God, is this what you want me to do? Because if it is what God wants you to do, It's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
Nobody can stop that.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times in church, we talk about having abundance faith, but it takes a lot for you to be working with a $617 welfare check and say in 5 years, I'm gonna own my own home. You don't even have a job, you don't have an education, you don't have a resume, you have no skills, you haven't worked since you were a sophomore in high school. How are you gonna do that? I believe it. I'm going to speak it to existence. Some of the things that I did was I put sticky notes. And I remember when I did this, Barbara thought, oh my God, my mother is really lost it now. I wrote sticky notes about what I wanted to do, and I put them all around my room. Every single goal, every single objective. And when I met that goal or objective, I removed the sticky note. So my wall was literally plastered with sticky notes.
Me too. I'm guilty. And I say that because as many people know, I went from working a full-time job to embracing entrepreneurship, and the process between that was crazy. But in order to even be here today, like, I had to set intentional goals. Listen, guys, we have to take a quick break. We're going to pay some bills, and we'll be right back with you.
Need help styling your child? Look no further. All About Me Baby Co. is a children's boutique with trendy and stylish clothing that keeps your kids looking fashionable, yet age appropriate. Explore inventory and discover the newest arrivals today. Visit www.allaboutmebabyco.com. Again, that's www.allaboutmebabyco.com. Moving Along the Trajectory Towards Continuous Improvement by Dr. Shandowlyon can be found on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. Buy it today.
Welcome back, everybody. So we were just talking about being intentional. What kind of advice would you give somebody just to walk intentionally and in purpose?
I think the advice that I would give is when you're being intentional, you still need help, right? So part of being intentional is being very much cognizant of who you have around you, making sure that you have cheerleaders around you, people with the mindset that you can do this. And sometimes when you're in the valley of the deep, you're by yourself. Then you need to seek out a coach. I have a coach, Dr. Anik, who has been my coach for every bit of 25 years. From the time I was a teacher assistant to a teacher to an assistant principal, superintendent, all the way through. And he still coaches me to this day. He's retired. The reason you want to have a coach is because when we're engaged in conversations, sometimes we say things out loud that really are signs or signals about your own personal beliefs. And a coach can ask you questions to give you insight on what's holding you back. So this is what I do with a lot of my clients. I start off our coaching session and I just let them roll. Then I'll hear something and I say, I heard you when you said thus and such. Tell me more about that. That's when you start unpeeling, peeling back those layers of the onion about what are the things that are holding you back. And then what a good coach will say, what are you going to achieve before we talk again in the next week? So they're putting you on this trajectory through goal setting, through goal attainment, but also teaching you how to hold yourself accountable.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with you making reference to, like, as far as us knowing that you have a coaching business or a consultation service and you provide knowledge and expertise to your clients, basically how to excel in life. So what information would you give to somebody that is feeling disempowered to have that, like you said, that foundation to grow in God? Like, what kind of information would you just provide to them?
I would tell them the first thing you need to do is establish what it is that you want to do and know that you can do that. And then find people who have been successful in doing that, and involve yourself in that circle of success. Shed away the negativity in your life, shed away the disempowering beliefs, shed away the negative people in your life. Stay away from the people that I call still talking about what they want to do, still talking about what somebody else is doing, still talking about whatever. Because talking doesn't make things happen. Doing makes things happen. But above all, what I will say is you have to have yourself spiritually grounded. You have to know who you are. You have to know what it is that God wants from you. What are your strengths? What are your talents? And how can you use those to serve God?
And know that your steps are ordered. I want you all to make sure that you take a listen to Order My Steps. The link will be provided. It's an oldie but a goodie, y'all. I'm here to tell you. Our church choir used to sing it back in the day, and it's just something about, listen to the words of that. Order my steps in your word. Dear Lord, lead me and guide me, God. Like having that true foundation and implementing that day in and day out, no matter what. Dr. Shawn, we thank you. We thank you so much for being here today. Where can people find your book real quick?
So my book is available, the ebook is available on Amazon.com and also on BarnesandNoble.com. The paperback is available on my website, www.Shandowlyon.com. If you live in Milwaukee, I will deliver the signed copy of the book to you. If you go on the website, I provide 15 minutes free coaching consultation to anyone who thinks that they want coaching services. I can talk to them about where are you in your life? Is this a time for you to go through coaching? If I'm not the proper coach, I will refer you to other people, but that's available, and you can go to my website and sign up for a 15-minute consultation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shawn.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you all for joining us with Swag on Point TV, where we get our swag lit, okay? Tune in next week. We'll see you then.
Greatness, they're right up on them and seek the haters. We get recognition, be at the peak of your pinnacle. Never believe you can't get where you wanna be to beat them fakers. There's a blessing God gave you, face it. Life ain't gotta rewind, but a better word for what you want, don't be complacent. Get on the grind, go and get it when you're given the time. It's all in the mind, you were your only enemy and nobody stopping your shine. You got it, just gotta keep trying, cause even the underrated find a way to get higher. To bring out the fire, the spark in the lighter, ignited it out, that was crossing the line. Facts. Level up, elevate, never wait, never drop. Gonna be the one to ever settle up. Find your work ethic and pick it up, be yourself, because being like everyone ain't where it's at. That's the reason why I stay in my bag. God got me, he been watching my back, and I'm letting him know it's a fact that I got that holy swag, counting my blessings.